Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I'm a huge Eurovision fan as well as a musician, and the time has come for me to review Sweden's song for this year's contest. So a little bit of context about Sweden. I think they're a country we should always pay attention to at Eurovision because despite Sweden not necessarily having a huge history in the classical music industry, they don't really have much of a presence in the classical music industry as much as countries like Germany or Austria or the UK, for instance. They have a big input into the popular music industry, which in the last 20-30 years, people like Max Martin and other songwriters have really pushed the Swedish presence in the charts, in the songwriting credits. So it's really interesting, and I think we should always pay attention to that because Sweden bring quality at Eurovision. They always make sure to do good staging. I think they're quite inspirational when it comes to staging. So for that reason, I'm excited. And also I'm excited because Sweden have sent a woman to Eurovision for the first time since Loreen in 2012. I know they picked the Mamas in 2020, but the contest got cancelled. So this is the first time on the Eurovision stage we're actually going to see a woman since 10 years. So this is Cornelia with Hold Me Closer. It was a fan favourite. I haven't heard this song yet, but I'm going to give my score out of 10 by the end of the video, so stay tuned. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and let's get straight into this. Let's see if Sweden are onto a winner this year.
No need to apologize, 'cause there's nothing to regret. Well, this is not what I wanted. Guess all the good things come to an end. So baby, bye-bye. Wish you the best. But most of all, I wish that I could love you less. Well, maybe you're right. I'll find someone else. You say it isn't me, but when did that ever help? Hold me closer, although you leave before the sunrise. Might be bleeding, but don't you mind, I'll be fine. Oh, accuse me, I found the right one at the wrong time. But until the sunrise, hold tight, hold tight. Maybe it happened to.
So yeah, this is really interesting so far. I think obviously something I always like about songs is when they've got an orchestral quality, and this one definitely has that. The violins, the string quartet they're using in, or it's more like a string orchestra, is really driving this song. Firstly, it's creating a nice soundscape in general, and I think her voice definitely marries into that string sound really nicely, but it's also not being swallowed up by the strings, so that's really good, because someone with quite a plain voice could easily just get completely and utterly washed out by a lush backing track. So that's good, she's standing out. So I think it's quite lush. It's working for me so far and it seems to be building, so let's keep going. I am enjoying it, so let's see what happens next.
For anyone, and that's why it scares you to death. So baby, bye-bye, though it's for the best. Still, I can see how that would ease the pain in my chest. Hold me closer, although you leave before the sunrise. I'll be bleeding, but don't you mind, I'll be fine. Oh, it kills me, I found the right one at the wrong time. But until the sunrise, could you just hold me tight? I know I have to let go, but just give me the night.
Yeah, I like how that built, especially when that 80s style bass synth thing came in with the like da 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 beat. I think that really worked. And then we had a nice explosion with drums, and I think it worked. I think this is This was always going to be good. So let's see what the middle eight's like now.
'Cause tomorrow will hurt really bad. 'Cause I'm about to lose the best I ever had. Hold me closer, although you leave me for the sunrise. I'll be bleeding, but don't you mind, I'll be fine. Oh, excuse me, I found the right one at the wrong time. But until the sunrise, do you just hold me tight? I know I have to let go, but just give me the night. Can't you see that you found the right one at the wrong time? It was just the wrong time. Hold tight, hold tight.
Nice ending there. Yeah, so I have a few things to say about that. So positives firstly, I think we've got a really nice musical backing track. I think in general, the strings, the orchestral quality of it, the way that it built, the way that it ended suddenly with just the vocal, those are really excellent, well thought through, well produced. You could tell that the team behind this really put their 110% because there were so many nice visual elements. It married well with the music. I think she has a good stage presence. I think she definitely means what she's singing as well, which is always good when you have that performative quality in a song. That's perfect. What I am going to say though, I know some people may disagree with me here, but this is just my opinion. Some criticism I have about this. Firstly, I think the subject matter of the song, the lyrics, to me didn't quite match up in quality or emotion as the music did. I think when you've got strings like that, when you've got a backing track so powerful and moving, and then the lyrics are just quite average, I'd say. There were some quite nice moments in there. Hold me closer before you leave in the sunrise or something. That's quite a nice line. The rest of it to me didn't sound groundbreaking or innovative in terms of the lyrics. And I think there's a tiny discrepancy there. When you've got lyrics that aren't as strong as the music, it's not entirely a good thing. But like I said, there's a lot of positives about this. Secondly, I actually think the melody line is not very strong. Some people will probably disagree with me. I just think when, again, you've got such a lush backing track and instrumental, the way the strings just build up to that chorus, and then you've got this melody line in the chorus, which is quite static in my opinion. It just goes da 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 da. It's just 4 notes stepping down. And when you've got a downward movement like that, and then the next bar, it's the same thing, da 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 da. So it keeps going down. That drags it to me. When you have a descending melody line, but then a backing track that is trying to go up and push forward and create this sort of ascension, there's a mismatch. That's how I feel. But at least I can remember that melody line. I don't think I could sing back any of the verses. It's lacking in the slight memorability. And that's the only thing I think really holds it back, in my opinion. People will probably disagree with me. I know, because this to me sounds like a song that a lot of people will like. It's universal. And that is good for Sweden, because I think votes will come in from all corners of Europe. I think she's a great artist though. I really enjoyed her stage presence and the way that she performed the song. I just think there's a couple of things missing. Do I get winner vibes? No, I don't get winner vibes from this. I get top 5, top 10 vibes from this for sure. I think it's very strong. It's very strong. But to me, when I think of a Eurovision winner, I think of songs with just a really strong melody line and a really strong chorus, something that's really memorable, like Euphoria, like Arcade, like Zitia Bwani. even like Azerbaijan 2011, there was still quite a strong melody line in the chorus. To me here, this is not a strong melody line, it's not a strong chorus. But overall, it's a strong song. It is a good song. So bearing all those things in mind, and please respect my opinions, because I did have a couple of criticisms there, like I did with the Dutch entry, and some people told me I'm not allowed to criticise. I am allowed to give critique to music because music deserves to be critiqued, and because it's art. We're allowed to do that, it's fine. So bearing all that in mind, I think I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. It was very good. But I just think there was a couple of things that I would have changed, or there's a few things that could have been better about that, but it's still really good for Sweden. And to be honest, this is much better than last year with Tusse and Voices. That was incredibly generic. It was fine, but it was very predictable. I think this song has some predictable moments to it. When I think of how I listened to Serbia yesterday, not a single moment in there was predictable. To me, I knew, okay, this is going to be verse, pre-chorus, chorus, second verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus. That's it. It's good, but it's not breaking boundaries, and it's not doing anything I have not seen in my life before. Robin probably would have done a song like this, you know. So that's my thoughts. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend. Bye.